you for accepting my invitation. I know how media aloof you are, so can I just say quite simply, I'm honored by your presence. Thank you.
Thank you, Simi. It's a pleasure to be here today.
Do you remember when we first met? Long back.
Yes.
You'd just come back from the US after graduating in architecture and structural engineering,
That's
wasn't it?
correct, yes.
Is that what you had planned to do with your life, to become an architect?
Yes, and in fact I worked in the US as an architect and as a structural engineer for a period of time after I graduated and had no intention of coming back.
So you were well settled there?
Well, I was not well settled, but I was happily employed there.
Then what happened?
My grandmother talked me into returning, or rather I returned because she wanted me back.
This is Lady Nabaj-Bai
That's right, that's right. She was at that time getting quite old, and I'd been very close to her. My mother and father had divorced when we were my brother and I were quite young. And she brought us up. So I was quite close to her, and she wanted me back. And so I came back for her, or I would not have come.
Yes.
I happily came back.
Okay. After a few months, I remember you moved on to Jamshedpur.
Actually, after 15 days, I think, of returning, I was sent out to Jamshedpur.
What was it like then?
It seemed like everyone was concerned that I should not be treated differently. So I was told to stay in an apprentice hostel. And I worked on the shop floor for 6 months in Telco. And then for a couple of years in Tisco on the shop floor. I was attached to various production departments. I was in the blast furnaces, near the furnace, in the steel melting shops. Again, knew every nook and cranny of the Tisco works. It was terrible at that time, but if I look back on it, it's been a very worthwhile experience because I've spent years hand in hand with workers. I have mixed with them. I have eaten in their canteens. I have been attached to superintendents. Many of the people who are in management in Tisco today remember those days when this goofy young guy was walking the shop floors.
So actually, the Tata name didn't bring any privileges, did it?
No, in fact, I'd say it was a disadvantage. Here was someone who had just come in from Los Angeles being told that you will not take your car to Jamshedpur, you will go by bicycle, and out of a sense of rebellion, I refused, and I'd walk to work every day.
Really?
So, you know, those kinds of things, are looking back on those years, it was a good thing.
Did you at any time feel any regret? What have I done? I mean, those lovely days in LA, and suddenly I'm in the middle of this.
Yeah, I almost went back 3 times in my life.
What stopped you?
I guess as time went on, the prospect, my grandmother died in 4 or 5 years while I was still in Jamshedpur. And the ties to remain here were less. But I guess as you get involved, it becomes more difficult to pack a bag and move again.
Yeah. Did you ever put to use all the training that you had in architecture and structure?
No, not after I came back. I had the opportunity of designing and building a house for my mother, which still stands, and one house in Jamshedpur, but that's about all.
That's about it. So you were 25 when you moved to Jamshedpur. Do you feel life had surprised you? I mean, did you know how it would turn out?
No. No, it was an experience. It was both culturally an experience, work-wise was an experience.
Did you know where you were going?
No, that's why I almost went back. For 7, 8 years, I just didn't know where I was going.
Yeah. So it has surprised you the way it's turned out, hasn't it?
Yes, things started to change much later in life for me. That it seemed to have a direction. There seemed to be
that you put in a very long apprenticeship, didn't you?
Yes, it seemed like an endless apprenticeship. And perhaps the change came when I got involved with Nelco, which was a small electronic company that nobody wanted to touch.
You were in a firefighting situation, weren't you?
Yeah, that's right. So that was when things started to really become both challenging and interesting.
And that's when you started enjoying it?
And that's when I started.